Join and we'll get started momentarily.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. If you wouldn't mind muting yourselves, that would be helpful. We're going to let folks join and we'll be getting started in just one moment. All right. Thank you everyone so much for being here. My name is Eleanor Peck. I am Deputy Executive Director and CEC Coordinator at the Hudson Valley Regional Council. And I am here joined by my colleague, Liz Sun, and our wonderful presenters who we'll be introducing in a moment. So this is a webinar about renewable energy and how municipal governments can get access and put renewable energy in their communities. So we're very excited to share it with you. I'm going to get started and then I'll pass it over to Liz in just a moment. Okay, this is the agenda. So first, I'll do the introduction like I'm doing right now. We're going to go over the Clean Energy Communities program from NYSERDA, go over the high impact actions that relate to renewable energy and some solar incentives that are available. Then we're going to have our presenters from the town of Bethel, the village of Hastings-on-Hudson, the town of Red Hook, and a presenter from Scenic Hudson's How to Solar Now mapping tool. So first, a little bit about the Hudson Valley Regional Council. We are one of 9 regional councils in New York State and 600 nationally. We work in these areas listed here: economic development, water quality, clean energy, climate smart, and then we also work a little bit on waste management. If you have questions on any of these areas, you're welcome to reach out to us. We are here to help municipal governments specifically, and we're very grateful to our county governments for supporting us in this effort. So Liz and I, my colleague Liz and I, work on the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities program. If you're not familiar with this program, please reach out to us. We're here to help you navigate it and submit actions in the program. This is a program from NYSERDA. There are over 900 communities statewide that are participating, and many have received no match grants through this program for participating in it. The program offers these no match grants for municipalities that complete clean energy projects. Once you complete an action, you earn points, and then you reach designation levels to access certain grants. They recently re-upped this program in December 2023 with significant new funding. So there now you can see the funding for small municipalities has grown. You can earn more than $500,000 if you're a small municipality, and it's even more money for large municipalities. These grants will decrease after October 2024 a little bit, and the program ends entirely at the end of 2025. So please reach out now if you're interested. And all of this money is also first come, first serve. So, you know, that's when the program will end no matter what. But if the money runs out before that, the program will also, these grants will no longer be available. So today we are here to talk about 4 different actions. So I'm going to pass it off to Liz right now, my colleague Liz, to talk about these 4 clean energy communities actions.
Great, thanks, Eleanor. So the first action I'm going to talk about is clean energy generation installation. So municipalities can receive points for hosting or owning a clean energy installation, including installing solar on municipal rooftops, parking lots, and landfills. Projects that started producing electricity on or after January 26, 2021 are eligible. And more points are available for projects with larger capacity. The NYSERDA Solar Guidebook is a great resource for navigating and managing solar development, such as instructions on the permitting and inspecting process and the State Environmental Quality Review, or SEQR, for solar. Next slide. Installing solar obviously can be pretty costly. NYSERDA can help reduce the cost through its New York Sun Incentive Program, which provides funding for newly installed residential, non-residential, large commercial, and industrial solar systems. The incentive is available to residents, businesses, and municipalities that work with a New York Sun participating contractor. The incentive amount is based on the kilowatt capacity of the array and differs based on the sector and region of the project. There are additional incentives available under the program as well, including for solar available to low and middle income residents, parking rooftop canopies, and projects that meet prevailing wage requirements. Businesses and tax-exempt entities, including local governments, can also claim tax credits for renewable energy generation projects like solar through the Inflation Reduction Act direct pay. Municipalities can claim either the investment tax credit, which delivers an upfront tax credit of up to 30% for projects that meet prevailing wages, or the production tax credit, which provides a credit per kilowatt hour for the renewable electricity generated during the first 10 years of a project's operation, with a bonus credit of up to 40% for projects in low income and designated energy communities. Next slide. Municipalities with large areas of underutilized lands, such as brownfields, landfills, former and existing industrial sites, and parking lots, should consider using the NYSERDA Build Ready program. Working with local partners and stakeholders, the Build Ready program takes difficult sites and makes them build ready for private renewable energy developers to ultimately construct and operate. The Build Ready program carries out the project design, engineering, permitting, and electric grid interconnection activities, as well as developing a project host community benefit package. Municipalities that nominate a site for Build Ready are eligible for CEC points. Elected officials and community members can nominate a potential Build Ready site through the nomination form, and we'll share these slides after, so all of these links are clickable. The Build Ready team is generally looking for sites of 20 kilowatt hour capacity or more, but they're considering scaling down. And sites that are selected through the Build Ready program can also receive more points through CEC. Oh, went too far. Okay. And then finally, municipalities can receive CEC points for subscribing municipal accounts to Community Solar, which is the Community Distributed Generation or CDG subscription action, or encouraging community-wide solar signups through a community solar campaign. Okay, so now we'll move on to our presenters. Today we are joined by Jeffrey Allison, Chair of the Town of Bethel Sustainability Committee, Mayor Nicola Armacost from the Village of Hastings-on-Hudson, Supervisor Robert McKeon from the Town of Red Hook, and Manajo Green, Ulster County Legislator and co-trainer for the Scenic Hudson How-To Solar Mapping Tool. And now I'll pass it over to Jeff. Jeff, I think you're muted.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm Jeff Allison, Chair of the Sustainable Bethel Committee. Bethel, New York is a little town of 3,900 people, 94 square miles. We only have 2 small population centers, and our population triples in the months of June, July, and August. We're also the home of the 1969 Woodstock concert, hence the name Psychedelic Solar. In general, I'd say that this whole project was one of the easier ones that Sustainable Bethel had a hand in. We met all of our goals. We ended up with a 20-year lease of over $24,000 and a pilot payment of over $4,000 a year, which for use of our capped landfill, which was otherwise unusable land in our town. We were able to get all of our 19 accounts as the anchor tenant on the solar array and get a 10% discount for not only our electric usage, but also for all of the subscribers. And we were able to fully subscribe the solar array with Bethel residents and small businesses. Somewhere close to 400 was the total that we were looking for. And we were able to get it fully subscribed. Before we did the solar array, we went to the EPA and had them do a pro bono study of the capped landfill and found that it was definitely favorable for this particular use, and felt that it would be something that could easily be done. They couldn't guarantee the size of it. It depended on what the connectivity would be with the grid. We ended up with a 2.7 megawatt solar array, and we issued an RFP in December of 2017. The RFP is available for everybody to have, if you would like to see it. We wrote it ourselves with some help from the county. We sent it out to as many potential developers as we could locate, and we ended up with BQ Energy as the people that responded, and then we selected for the project. They actually did everything. They secured all agreements with DEC.
I'm listening to the webinar because I didn't make it into the house.
They negotiated all of the agreements with NYSEG. They did all the financing, procurement. They signed up the subscribers. They managed all the billing, and they will continue all of the member relationship management throughout the life of the project. And then they will also decommission and remove the solar installation at the end of the project. So it was pretty easy from that sense to work on this project, because the developer was responsible for everything. BQ Energy was the developer, and Source Power would manage the subscription campaign. That changed in the middle. BQ sold it to the project to DSD Development, but that really had no impact on us. Source Power ended up giving up its project to Arcadia, and that too actually was an improvement for us. So we started the RFP in December 2017. In the spring, we selected BQ Energy, and then they started on their installation project. We began our public outreach in May of 2021. They were in the middle of construction. They thought it would be done close around that time, but it was not actually done until the end of December. We had to do the community campaign in over the summer because our population triples at that time, and so we advertised it and promoted it from May through the end of the summer, and so that actually worked out pretty well for us. The biggest problem, I have to say, for the town was that Source Power was not particularly, this was their first project, and they really didn't understand how it should happen. And so we did have some problems with getting the original subscription information out there, and to make sure that the citizens had the right information in order to sign up. But once Arcadia took over, those problems were resolved pretty successfully. What we did find is that the town had to have had to field billing questions, and were they on did Source Power and then Arcadia really get their application? Were they going to be on this solar array? And so there were a lot of questions that came into our town hall that were not expecting. And subsequent to the installation, we also have found that including the town accounts, there's been quite a bit of misunderstanding of what the billing is. And so there's been, and that's ongoing. So I think that it seems like to us that NYSEG has not been really able to transfer the solar credits to the bill evenly across all of the accounts. So that's been an ongoing problem. Our community campaign has been, that was really pretty easy. I think that with so few residents, and we've been involved with them for so many years on so many projects, they were very receptive to signing on to this solar array. Even people we'd had disagreements with over some projects that we'd had, they liked this one and wanted to sign up for it. Our team included the supervisor, a town employee that was the grants manager, and 6 Sustainable Bethel committee members. We reached out to all kinds of businesses and partnered with them. We worked with the Bethel Business Association, who worked with all of their members to join up. The Smallwood Civic Association, we attended their meetings and had mailings with them. The Bethel Lions Club, we also attended meetings, and they sent out information to all of their members. Our community outreach, we launched it at a town board meeting. We attended weekly lakeside music concerts. We attended weekly Bethel farmers markets. We hosted a 15-minute community Zoom presentation. We were interviewed on a local radio station. We put it in our newsletter, Facebook pages. We had direct mailings by Source Power to all residents. The town sent letters to everybody, and a flyer was developed. And so on this slide, this at the very bottom, you can see the CDG value service, and then the that's where under this miscellaneous section, you're going to see 2 things. You're going to see a charge and then a credit, which net out to 10%. But it took a lot of explaining to get people to understand that. And it really wasn't on the entire bill. It was only on the supply charges. So that was really our and how do you enroll? The flyer that you see in the lower left is what we mailed out to all of the residents multiple times. All they had to do was to scan that QR code, and it would get them into the place where they could enroll. And all they really needed was their account number, and then they could enroll. And we had a separate arrangement with Arcadia, where all of our subscribers would go to one person who would understand what the Solar Bethel Array was all about. So that's when it began to work pretty smoothly for us, is when we made that arrangement that if they followed this QR code, they would go to somebody that would know how to enroll them specifically in the Bethel Solar Array. And that's how we got a fully subscribed solar array over the course of this summer. And that pretty much is our project and how we ran it.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
If anyone has any questions, I think we could take 1 or 2 before moving on to the next presenter.
There was one question in the chat.
Yes. How many companies responded to the RFP besides BQ, Jeff? Do you remember?
I think there were 2 or 3.
And I actually wanted to congratulate you for being a pioneer, both on behalf of Michael Lang, who has passed, and my behalf. I'm the founder of New York's Solar Energy Industries Association. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And if you come to the museum at Bethel Woods, it's all about the Woodstock concert. I'll give you a
I
tour.
know.
I'll give you a
I
tour.
love it. I was one of the organizers of Woodstock 94, so I can give you that reverse tour.
Wonderful. Okay, Liz, you want to introduce our next person?
Yes. So next up is Village of Hastings on Hudson Mayor Nicola Armacost.
Thank you so much, Liz and Eleanor and HVRC, for including me and Hastings in this lovely webinar. Eleanor, I'll say next each time I want you to move to the next slide. So if you can just move to the next slide. For those of you who don't know Hastings, we are located on the banks of the Hudson River, as our name would indicate. We have about 8,500 in population, and we are very proud to say we're the highest ranked climate smart community in the state, thanks to a lot of support from HVRC and others to help us get to that status. And we have a very, very committed group of residents and board members on the issue of climate. So we're participants in the Climate Smart Communities program, the Clean Energy Communities program. We're trying to do our part to support the goals of the CLCPA. I have committed to the Race to Zero, and we've issued a climate emergency declaration. So we're full on for doing our part for climate. Next, please, Eleanor. And I'm a big advocate of both the CSC and clean energy programs. And there are many, many benefits for us. We found that as a result of doing this, we've been able to document good things that we've done and share that news with our residents. We've been able to benchmark ourselves against other municipalities. It's given us inspiration looking at what other people have done. We've pinched ideas. It's the best form of plagiarism. We pinched ideas from others, and where possible, we've implemented it in Hastings. We've connected with other municipalities, learned from them, shared our knowledge with them, and we've been able to generate quite a lot of grant funding as a result of the work that we've done. And I think one thing that people probably aren't aware of is that we've actually managed to get our CSC status included in our latest Moody's upgrade, where the issue of your sustainability initiatives is allegedly one of the things. I think they care mostly about your cash flow and the wealth of your residents, but they do flag this issue. So that's something that we've been able to include. And of course, there are lots of measurable environmental benefits from participating in these programs. Next, please. So I wanted to flag a couple of programs for you. And one is a community solar project, which is much smaller than the one that Jeff described, but one that we're very proud of. It's hyper local. So it's community solar that is on our school, 625 kilowatts. And we were able to work with the school to have the solar installed on the school roofs, which are perfectly situated for community solar, unlike our municipal roofs that have all sorts of other stuff on them, and it's quite difficult to get additional solar on those roofs. And in partnership with G&S Solar, we were able to get this project started. So the project is about to go, the solar is about to go live this week. Very exciting. But in the meantime, while the solar was being installed, we needed to get residents to subscribe. And so what we ended up doing was inviting 2 high school students to promote the project to their classmates, who in turn promoted it to their parents. I think it's almost never that you get your kids actually bringing you a financial benefit. Normally they're a cost center for most of our families. But in this case, the kids were amazing proselytizers about solar. They were super excited about it. They learned all about it. And they ended up sharing flyers and other information with classmates. And so the way in which the solar works is that people who subscribe get 10% off their bills, as Jeff was saying in the project that he was talking about. So there are no fees for residents who sign up. The school gets to rent its roof, so that's income for the school. The kids learned so much about marketing. They had a really fun time doing that. And the village was able to get CSC and clean energy community points, as well as cash awards. So because this was a community campaign, there were small cash awards under the CSC, the CEC program, as Liz described earlier. There you get awards for signing up certain numbers of people, and the kids were very, very diligent at working out how many people had signed up, how many more they needed to get to the next level. And so we were able to accumulate these small awards to move us forward. I'm gonna post in the chat some links for this project, and for the next one, if we can move to the next slide. So the other project I wanted to talk about was our geothermal and solar project. And this related to a feasibility study that we went through, we commissioned for the municipal building and library. And it started out as just looking at geothermal, but then we added solar because we realized that we were in a position to put solar on the library roof. And what it did was it provided a comprehensive cost benefit analysis with a pretty high cost for us as a small village of 2.1 million. So a link to the study is there in the chat. And what we were able to do is cover that cost through grants. We were given 750,000 as an appropriations grant from our Congressman Bowman, and we were able to stack our clean energy community grants together. So thanks to Liz and Eleanor and to NYSERDA for helping us do that. But there was a big offset through stacking all of those grants together. And then, of course, also the IRA tax credits that Liz mentioned earlier. As a result of stacking all of that, we think there's going to be actually no cost to residents. So that's something we're super excited about, very proud of. And of course, what it does is it supports our municipal goal of reducing dependency on fossil fuels and developing this local clean energy supply. And it will in turn give us additional CSC points. So this is a very virtuous circle of points accumulation and in some cases cash accumulation. For all of you who liked getting gold points when you were gold stars when you were 5 in kindergarten, these are perfect programs for you. So moving on to the next slide. And I also wanted to just talk about very quickly a Solarize campaign, which we started in 2015. And we did this in collaboration with Dobbs Ferry and Sustainable Westchester. So Dobbs Ferry is the village next door to ours. And this allowed really kind of individual homeowners to include solar on their homes and take advantage of the tax benefits that were available at that time. So the cost was substantially reduced for residents, and as a result of in our case, subscribing, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but creating contracts for 55 people, we were able to reduce the cost. So each new category of people, I think it was 5, 10, 15, we ended up getting a certain percentage off the cost for them. And because we signed up so many, we created a 4th tier. The solar company agreed to do that with us. And it was a very, very successful campaign, and we're about to launch a phase 2. So I wanted to add that in because it's a way that individuals, of course, can can contribute to going solar and to being part of the renewable energy kind of vision and process. You move on to the next one, Eleanor. So there are some clear lessons learned. The tangible benefits of the CSC and CEC result in actual cash for us. And the other part that I do want to stress, since we are hosted by HVRC, is just the value of the technical assistance that we received from Eleanor, from Carla, from Liz, Mary Lambert, who actually is from Hastings. We're lending her to you guys at the moment. And really, it was just an amazing amount of support, and something that I highly encourage people to take advantage of if you haven't. And I see one question: did we have to send out an RFP for the feasibility study? The answer is yes. And if I can find the link while the next presenter is speaking, I will send it to you, or feel free to email me directly, or Eleanor, or Liz, or Mary, or Carla, and I'm sure they will be able to get it to you too. And just before leaving, if you can move to the next slide. So the next slide is just a way. Oh, you've taken that out. Okay, so the next slide is a way to reach me, but I'll put my contact in the chat. But I wanted to add that the other thing that we did sort of in this space is we signed up our municipal meters for community solar. And as a result of doing that, we were able to get the clean energy upgrades action under the CEC process. So that was very easy to do. It's just literally, in our case, a call to Sustainable Westchester to help us with that process. And we're getting 10% off the costs of the municipal meters that are assigned. The challenge for a while was that there just wasn't enough of a supply of community solar, but I believe that that is currently being addressed. And the other thing, of course, is the CCA and community choice aggregation, which for us in Hastings is a renewable option. And I saw Brad Tito is part of the group here, so I'll give a shout out also to Opt Out CDG, which is to enable low and medium income residents to be able to be part of this solar revolution that's happening in our state and in our country. So thank you again for having me, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I did not mean to remove your last slide. I'm not sure how that happens, but yes, please
No
do
worries.
put your.
I'll put my
Awesome.
contact information in the chat.
Right. Any questions besides Ron's for Mayor Armacost before we move on to Red Hook? All right. Hearing none, we'll let Liz introduce our next presenter.
Okay, great. So finally, our last case study will be from the town of Red Hook, presented by Supervisor McKeon. Supervisor, you're also muted.
It's always the basics, right? First of all, thanks very much for having me. I too would like to echo the sentiments about CEC, the program, and the department. Not always do we on the local level get the type of assistance and handholding through sometimes sophisticated projects. And it was really refreshing over the years to have individuals help us in many aspects of these projects. And first of all, I would like to say, as somebody who's so youthful, I also look forward to hearing more about this Woodstock thing that was referenced earlier in Bethel, and just exactly what that was, Jeffrey. So I too will ask you to scroll down if we could. Let's start quite some time ago. In 2009, at the time I was a town council member, and established something called the Energy Committee, dedicated solely to this particular issue. In the town of Red Hook, 16 or nearly 16 years later, the Energy Committee is going strong and doing exciting projects in the town of Red Hook. And I think we are still one of the few communities. In fact, I'm not sure I know of another community that has an energy committee. 2012, after a 2-year process, the town adopts a climate action plan. Next slide. Many recommendations. You can look on our town website for that plan and see what those recommendations were. One of them was to construct a 2-megawatt community solar project on the heels of a lot of individual solar that was installed here locally. Next slide, please. One of the first steps that you need to do, obviously, is to identify a suitable location. Some of the key considerations are proximity to 3-phase, where the system will be located as it pertains to community character and screening considerations, and distribution line capacity. So the utility is going to have some say over whether or not the line that you're hoping to connect to has any additional capacity to accommodate your proposed project. Next slide. They have, at least in the instance of Central Hudson, you can go on their website. There's a map of the 3-phase lines, and here it is for the town of Red Hook in different colors. So when you click on those branches or veins, if you will, in our community, it will tell you, give you some data, some of which you might be able to understand, much of which you'll need to consult a chart to know what it's referencing, but essentially it will let you know whether or not there's capacity available and what other projects are in the queue on a particular distribution line. Next slide. So next up, you have to understand with any capital project what the financial metrics and costs are associated with it. Our goal was to try and accommodate 250 households or more and any remaining municipal accounts. We already had solar on Town Hall, Firehouse, and other places, but we did have some village, in particular village buildings, government buildings that were not being remotely accounted for. One of the key issues for us was that we wanted to own the system, but of course back then the tax credits were of no importance to us. We had nothing to put them against, and obviously municipalities can't take advantage of that. This is pre-IRA. Next slide, please. So we're all set to go in 2016, and lo and behold, the first thing that tariffs are levied on is solar panels, of course. So next slide, please. NYSERDA, who you have in your state offices matter. NYSERDA responded and raised their incentives in order to accommodate projects once again. Next slide, please. We developed an RFP, design, construct system with the option to purchase that we spoke about once the tax credits are exhausted, which is we estimated between 6 and 7 years. We have built into the agreement that we can purchase the system. It is our intention as a municipality to own enough solar for our all of our residents and small businesses. We're well on our way. On a sunny summer day, the town of Red Hook actually produces more clean energy than it uses, and that is including our schools. Bard College is also in our municipality. Next step, we wanted to make sure of sorry, that's not what my slide says, but let's do that. No, yeah, next slide. That's good. We go out to bid, and the bid is awarded to Sun Common, previously called Hudson Valley Clean Energy, at the time based in Rhinebeck, merged with a Vermont B Corp called Sun Common. And you see the Sun Carnival, one of our community outreach events was an EV demonstration, at which time people could find out more about the community solar and sign up for it. Next slide, please. We wanted to make sure, nope, we're going backwards.
Sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
There we
There we go. Wanted to make sure that our residents who I had been talking to during previous years of door-to-door campaigning knew that they were very interested in having this opportunity. Many of them lived in the villages and had lots of shade trees, and maybe solar was a little bit, individual solar was a little more difficult. We wanted to make sure that our residents had first shot at joining the community solar, and so there was a local preference where it was only open to village residents initially, and then town residents, and then with what was left for subscribers, the immediate vicinity, surrounding vicinity. Next slide. With Sun Common, we developed a marketing plan, and I think we can very slowly just scroll through these just so the folks can reference them as they may need to. Some of the challenges. Next slide. You want to have your folks who are well known in the community sign on to support something like this. There's always a factor of, friends know whose opinion to trust in their own mind. And so the more folks you can get to sign on to supporting this type of endeavor, the more likely it will be successful. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we did, whoops. Tell everyone. I don't know that all of the slides are on there. It was a lengthy document, but I'll just go through.
Let me pull it up.
That's the, oh, there we go. What? There we go. Oh, there. I think about, no, keep going down. There we go. Okay. Some flyers and events. You can see we made sure to go to every community event during the period. Here's a schedule, project timeline projected, and was to conclude in December of 2019. And when I tell you the stroke of midnight, I'm exaggerating only by a matter of hours. In the evening of December 31st, 2019, the community solar project went live. Next slide. So what I've included here are documents for you if you'd like to refer to them at a later time. But what we've got here is both the subscription for the individuals and the purchase agreement between the township and the solar developer. And yeah, if we could freeze on this slide for a little bit. There we go, the little circle there, 1.3. So back then, there were these very complicated things called tranches, and there were rates at which the kilowatts would be credited to accounts. I won't go into how complicated it was, but suffice it to say that it's different than it is now when you join a community solar. There is a schedule, and I think that would probably be important. We get to that slide in a moment. Let's focus here. What we did was negotiate with the solar developer a starting rate and an escalation of that rate of 1.3% each year during a 25-year PPA agreement. And I think we do have that schedule as one of the slides earlier on in this document, perhaps. Yeah. Okay. Well, we should. Exhibit 1, it's called. It will be on the well, didn't make it there. Okay. Let's see further down. No, didn't make it there. But anyway, folks were given an agreement that showed each contract year and what their rate would be for the 25-year period so that they would know. This did not, unlike today, this did not relate solely to the supply side. This was a credit which was put towards the entire bill, both distribution and supply. And so folks were able to receive now a significant benefit. In fact, with current utility rates through Central Hudson, folks are paying about 60% of what everyone else is paying towards electric. So that's an overview of the project, and we are now on our second and third sites that we are studying. This was a co-location project, by the way. Just like landfills, you can also do well fields, and so this first project was a well field project. And now we're looking at an old soil mined area of a farm for a second project, and the Tivoli landfill for our third project that we hope to construct sometime in 2024, 2025.
Excellent. Thank you so
Questions?
much, Supervisor. Yeah,
Thank you.
anybody have questions?
Dean Galley here from Terrytown. Robert, where was that sited? Where was that large project sited? On an open field or landfill or what?
Yeah, it was on a well field. So, you know, one of the benefits of our project, like the first project you heard about, is it was a property that really couldn't be used for much because on top of it was a village well field. And so right on the border of the village town. And so it made perfect sense to put the panels on top of that. And it would provide, actually, the fencing requirement would provide additional safety measures for the well field itself.
Kathleen, do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess this is more of a general question. I'm calling from Saugerties. I guess when I'm looking at this, there's a projected life cycle of the solar field. So a municipality, it seems, would have to have a plan for decommissioning and then creating new solar farms over time, right? In terms of funding and also finding sites.
Yes, we adopted solar zoning that requires any developer come up with a decommission plan. You know, most solar panels or solar systems have a warranty life of somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 or 25 years, although I think, you know, for practical application, we've seen that these systems can last quite some time thereafter. But yes, it's important to factor that into both your code and into your financial projections, what you will do with those panels.
Thank you.
Okay, Thank you so much, Supervisor McKeon. So we're going to move on to our last presenter. So we have Mena Jo Green, Ulster County legislator, and as I said, she helps run Scenic Hudson Solar How to Solar Now mapping tool with Melissa Iachetta. And I've taken the training. It's a fantastic training to go through, and she's going to talk a little bit about it and some of the communities who have done it and benefited from it.
Thank you. And I'm having, as you know, difficulty with my desktop, my Wi-Fi, my cell phone, and my landline right now. And Verizon is supposedly coming to fix it, but so I have a few slides that I created, and then I will switch over to a presentation that Melissa Iachetta, who also has been teaching the Scenic Hudson mapping tool since 2019. We have trained 150 people in the region from 50 municipalities. And I just want to say that I'm very encouraged to hear the previous presentations, and I especially like the idea of working with high school students to bring that information home. I think that's a great idea that we can adopt. Here in Ulster County, we are issuing a challenge. We would like to become the first county in New York State to achieve 70% renewable energy generation by 2030, but we want to be sure it's done wisely. So a little bit more about the solar mapping tool, which we are using with each of the municipalities to ensure that. So let's see, is that gonna, good. The solar mapping tool, Scenic Hudson developed this for people to be able to teach it to themselves. So your planning board folks or climate smart committee folks can go through this and teach it to themselves. But we found that doing it in a cohort with the questions and answers and working together, and also encouraging municipalities to send 2 or 3 people to work on this as a team. Here in Rosendale, we worked as a team and we produced a wonderful report, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. But the first important learning is how to use sound land use principles. So we're not cutting down forests, which are so important for carbon sequestration, and all of the ecological benefits, or covering over prime farmland, although we do promote agrovoltaics where there's a shared use of the land. And then learning to utilize the layers. So by layers, this is an example. Solar opportunities, agricultural layers, wetlands, biodiversity, protected layers, and solar feasibility. And the idea is to identify the best areas for development of renewables and storage versus areas to be avoided or protected. And they provide a worksheet, and we ask each of our municipalities to fill out that worksheet and turn it into a report. And several of the municipalities, including New Paltz, Kingston, Rosendale, Hurley, and others. And all of the information they gather is stored in a shared folder by county, and then within the county by municipality. County to upgrade their report to include what is your load for the entire municipality, not just the government, and make an inventory of the existing and pending renewables, so you can see what the 70% really is and how far along you are toward achieving that. And then, let's see. So we're calling those municipal renewable energy implementation plans. And this is what the grid used to look like, that top diagram where one way or another, there was a large, often polluting generating facility. And then that electricity was fed into the grid and carried along transmission lines, and then it was stepped down so that it could be, yes, my internet is unstable, we know that. And so that it could be distributed to homes and businesses and industry, et cetera. It was a one-way grid. And the diagram below shows what happens when you have distributed generation by homes, by wind, by solar, and the grid becomes complicated and two-way, and it's primarily up to the utilities to upgrade the grid so there's enough capacity and it's designed to accept a kilowatt here, a megawatt there, etc. And now I'm going to try and switch over. Yes, okay. And let's see if this is going to work. Wonderful. Almost wonderful. Yeah, there we go. What does the solar mapping tool do? It's a guide for learning. It can inform discussion, provide a common
Manager, we
starting
can only
point
see
for
the previous slides. I don't know if you shared new ones. We can see the previous ones.
Okay. Okay, let me close that. Now, can you see how to solar now?
Nope.
I think you
Hello?
have to go and reshare what screen you're
Yeah.
showing.
And I have these ones up
Yes.
too, Manager. Do you want me to do that, or you've got them up and you?
Well, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. And so complex information, gather diverse data sets. And let's see. There we go. What it does not do is provide concrete answers. It doesn't replace local knowledge. I want to give you an example. Here in Rosendale, one of the layers shows where old mines that are no longer in use could be a good solar system. Rosendale was the source of cement for the cement industry as it was being developed. It's fairly famous. Our Rosendale cement is the base of the Statue of Liberty and the Brooklyn Bridge and so forth. And so those are underground and they weren't showing. But local knowledge provided that information to the process. And then replace specific assessments or project review, and it covers every topic in full technical detail, and it also provides available data sets on a given topic. And let's see. There's an introduction. It distinguishes residential versus commercial scale, and it shows the different types of panels. And then It goes into smart solar planning, assess patterns of development of existing land use, look for opportunities, avoid negative impacts to valued resources, and then evaluate solar feasibility. And we'll see what that means. It also stresses the importance of local knowledge, our values and priorities. Solar can be co-located with agriculture, and we take into consideration energy justice. So the solar mapping tool is broken down into very specific layers. And this is a little hard to read, but I'll send the slides, or we have sent them. And it starts with a base layer. And then here is a specific location that we're going to suss out. And in this case, it was Kingston Plaza. And then one of the layers is showing the rooftops and parking lots. In this case, it's rooftops, but you can also see the opportunity for parking. And you can actually measure the amount of square feet. And this is an example of the agricultural layers. Here it's not so important, but out in real open space it would be. This is already developed land, so they're specifically looking at parking lots and rooftops. But it is an important layer. And you can click on a given area and a legend comes up, and you can add or subtract, if you have too many layers open, additional layers. This is a look at the wetlands. And in this case, it's the Esopus Creek. And now I just have to, okay, we're getting there. And then here are the FEMA floodplains. You want to take that into consideration. And oh, let me click one more time. This is the distribution lines, and distribution lines and transmission lines are critically important. Most of the projects we'll be working on can't directly connect to a transmission line. Those are the big towers, and the more like the poles are the distribution lines, and for at most could generate a megawatt. It's 4 to 5 acres. That can generate approximately a megawatt, but you need at least, I believe it's 5 megawatts to connect to a transmission line. But the layer shows where your distribution and transmission lines are. And I think I'm gonna stop sharing and just take any questions, because at this point the technical difficulties are kicking in. But I think that gives people a good idea of, and let me just see if I can remember how to stop sharing. Pause share. I don't want to pause it. I want to leave it. Oh, all right. I'm going to go back to just a slide, if that'll click in. It's not. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there and take questions, because
That's great,
I think
manager.
I've
Thank
been
you so
able to
much.
convey what we're doing. Okay,
Excellent.
You're
Liz, maybe you
welcome.
can stop the sharing since you're the host. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, all our presenters. We really appreciate it. Are there any more questions for any of the presenters before we, Liz and I just have a couple more slides. And if you want to get started on your survey here, you're welcome to. We have other webinars planned and we would love to have you join them and also give us ideas for what you might like to speak about. Any more questions though? I think I saw one. Oh, Ron asked if Central Hudson has succeeded in getting billing correct. I guess this could be for any of the Central Hudson, maybe Red Hook. I don't know, Robert, if you have a sense of that. Has the billing been all right in your municipalities?
I think I'll take the fifth on that one. No comment.
Fair
It's
enough.
hard. It's hard to verify that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Communities shared solar have been a problem with Central Hudson, and promises have been made.
Great. Any other questions before we move on? I don't see any here. Oh,
There are two more in the
great.
chat.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Lindsay Auden asks, what did Hastings geothermal study cost and what was the source of the funding?
So the cost of the study, I believe it was 35,000, and we paid that directly out of funds that we had. We didn't use CEC funding for that, but that is something that is a possible use of that funding. So that's something to discuss with HVRC or whoever is your kind of local technical assistance advisor, or directly with NYSERDA. We wanted to jumpstart it, and so we moved it forward using our own funding. I think that was a year where there was a remarkable surplus. It was one of those things that never happens to a municipality, but we had a surplus, so we decided to use it that way. And then I see Leo has a question. Did G&S Solar sign a long-term lease with the school district? And the answer is yes, but that is between G&S Solar and the school district. So I do have a copy of it, but I have to ask permission about whether I can share that. Okay, I hope that
Yes.
helps.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions? I think Liz and I just have two more slides here. So there's a QR code. Oops. Oh, geez. Getting ahead of myself. There's a QR code here, and you'll get these slides after, so you can take the survey to see if you want to let us know what webinars we should have next about different CEC actions. And we just wanted to promote here that sometime later this summer or early fall, we're going to have the first of our Conference in Motion series, and we're going to take a visit to the Croton-on-Hudson solar carport, which is currently being constructed. I was actually on the train yesterday and I got to see it. And I've been taking the train a lot, so every time I go, it's a little bit more built. So this is we have Lindsay Auden from the village here, but there's battery energy storage. There's going to be electric vehicle charging later on, and it's a very large solar array. So it's going to be great to see it in person. So keep your eyes on your email for that. We'll be sending out information once we finalize the date and time. And lastly, this is how you get in touch with me or Liz, whoever is your person at HVRC. We are always happy to help talk to you about solar or any other CEC actions that are out there. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And we hope you got a lot out of it, and we appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.